Boy, who would have ever thought that one of the most iconic Disney movies ever made would have been such a bitch to make? And I didn't intend to mean that literally, I apologize. But this is my review for Saving Mr. Banks. But before we talk about this movie, here's a brief summary of Mary Poppins. Made in 1964, Mary Poppins is considered one of the greatest Disney movies ever made, and one of the best movies, period. It stars Julie Andrews as the iconic nanny, Mary Poppins, who is brought in to take care of the Banks kids because their two parents are too preoccupied with other things to really give them attention. So they have a lot of fun things to do. They do a lot of neat stuff along with Bert, who's played by Dick Van Dyke in that horrible but entertaining Cockney accent. It's got a great musical score. The Sherman Brothers songs are very memorable. Not one song is forgettable. It's got some great dancing sequences. This movie was nominated for Best Picture when it came out. Julie Andrews won the Oscar for Best Actress for her role as Mary Poppins, and it launched her film career because before this, she was best known for theater. And that's all basically about Mary Poppins. If you didn't see Mary Poppins or never seen it before, it came out on Blu-ray recently. Go buy it. Don't rent it. Go buy it. Show it to your kids. Watch it for yourself. You will not regret it. So now we have Saving Mr. Banks, which basically chronicles the relationship between Mary Poppins author Pamela P.L. Travers, played by Emma Thompson, and the one and only Walt Disney, who here is played by Tom Hanks. It chronicles their relationship as they're trying to make Mary Poppins into a movie. On one hand, you've got Pamela Travers, who is very strict, very by the book, hates animation, and addresses everyone by their last name. Like, she prefers to be called Mrs. Travers. And then on the other side, you got Walt Disney, who's very carefree. He's a child at heart. He calls everybody by their first name, and, well, he's Walt Disney. No real need to explain who this man is. Unless you're one of those people who believes that Walt Disney's some racist Nazi who's living in a cryotube somewhere, then you know who this man is. If you are one of those people, then hey, you're on your own. I can't help you. Now, obviously, throughout the year, I've been looking forward to a lot of movies, like Iron Man 3, Star Trek Into Darkness, Pacific Rim, The World's End, and The Hobbit, The Desolation of Smaug. This is one of those smaller, non-big profile movies that I was really looking forward to, because Mary Poppins is one of my favorite movies ever made. I think it's a really great musical, as I mentioned before. And I'm really interested in these movies that chronicle the making of another movie, or just a period of time with an actor or director. And there's been a big surge of these movies recently. In 2011, we had My Week with Marilyn, starring Michelle Williams as the iconic Marilyn Monroe, which I really loved that movie. And it was one of my favorite movies of 2011. And then last year we had the two Hitchcock movies, one that chronicled Psycho, called Hitchcock, and the other that focused on Tippi Hedren's relationship between Hitchcock on The Birds. Both movies had their moments, but in the end they were pretty disappointing, I gotta say. So with Saving Mr. Banks being distributed by Disney themselves, being a movie about one of their most iconic films ever made, you'd think that they'd polish up the movie, make it all squeaky clean, get rid of anything that would tarnish the reputation of Disney, and so on. They would just Disneyfy it. And surprisingly, they don't. You'd think that somebody at Disney would have said, okay, we gotta hold back. We can't reveal any bad things or hurtful things towards the movie because we're Disney. But no, they are not afraid to show all the problems that happened, apparently, during the production or pre-production of Mary Poppins. And yet it still manages to pay tribute to that certain era of Disney. Because Mary Poppins was one of the last movies that Walt Disney produced before his very untimely death. It's got a lot of great performances, it's got a clever script. Emma Thompson in this movie plays Pamela Travers, and she is incredible in this movie. She is very proper. Throughout the first part of the movie, you are thinking, man, she's getting on my nerves, I don't like her. But as you see the movie go on, as you see flashbacks of her childhood, you understand why she is the way she is and why she's so nervous about Mary Poppins being turned into a film, that you really understand her, and it's really a great, great performance. I hope she gets an Oscar nomination for this role because she is that good. And then Tom Hanks is also really good as Walt Disney, and even though he doesn't quite look like the real Walt Disney, he is still really good in the movie and gives a great performance himself. Although he's not going to get an Oscar nomination because Captain Phillips was his movie for this year. He's still going to get nominated for that movie. No doubt about it. And getting back to those flashback sequences of Mrs. Trevor's childhood, that makes the movie feel like two movies. The first movie is basically the chronicling of the making of Mary Poppins. All the stuff that you see in the trailers, all the commercials, that's one movie. The other movie is basically an autobiography of her childhood in a way, and her relationship with Mary Poppins and why it's so dear and personal to her. And it's really, really good to watch, and by the end, it's almost heartbreaking in a way. I mean, I'll be honest, when the movie started, I was kind of like, I don't know about this. It could get better, but so far, it's not doing so good. And then by the end of the movie, I was holding back. I was holding back trying to cry. Yeah, I said it. I'm not ashamed of it. So with all that praise, there really isn't anything bad I can say about the movie itself. I mean, I mentioned at the beginning I didn't care for all that much, and Emma Thompson, as great as she was, she got on my nerves at first, but I think that was the intention, because the movie, as it went along, it got better, and better, and better, until once you get to the end of the movie, you are really holding back tears. And if you have a strong attachment to Disney or Mary Poppins in general, you are going to cry your heart out. It really has a strong emotional ending, and I love the movie. It's got really good performances again. Everyone's good. It's got a great script. I see this movie snagging up some Oscar nominations, hopefully for Emma Thompson. I hope. It's really, really good. It's probably going to stay as one of my favorite movies of the year. Just get off your ass and go see this movie right now. I really can't stress that enough. And if you're a Disney fan or a Mary Poppins fan, you are required to see this movie. So that's my review for Saving Mr. Banks. Leave a comment if you've seen the movie, subscribe to my channel for more stuff in the future. Check out my other channel, AlexG8462. You can follow me on Twitter at AlexG8462. Follow me on Instagram at TheRealMrRobinson. And go like my Facebook page, The Cinemas of Mr. Robinson. Share me with your friends and tell them about me, and remember to know it before you see it. This has been The Cinemas of Mr. Robinson, and I'll see you guys later.